We're not far now from E3 and getting a lot more information on the new game, Fallout 76. So naturally the community has some concerns, and while these may or may not be confirmed very soon, but it is nice to talk about them, get them off your chest, and well, who knows, maybe if the responses are strong enough, we'll be able to change a thing or two. So today, probably not. So today I wanted to list 5 things we don't want from Fallout 76. Let's get into it. Starting off with number 5, no single player. We don't want that to not be an option. Hence the most repeated comment that you can see on the official trailer, save player 1, save player 1, save player 1. I think a lot of people are excited about the potential of a multiplayer Fallout game and what that might feel like, but if you do away with the single-player experience altogether, it's probably too drastic of a change, at least right now. I mean, these are games that are really enjoyable when you play them alone, in this big open world. You can go at your own pace, you can explore whatever you like, what you like, not to mention how a lot of mechanics would be handled in a multiplayer world like this. So, take VATS, for example. You can't choose to slow down time for everyone except you. I mean, that would suck. That would be crazy. So if they're going to keep something like VATS, just as an example, it seems like the only option would be to make it real time. So it doesn't slow down, but you're still able to use like a sort of auto-aim feature mid-battle to, maybe get a better chance at a critical hit on your enemy. But regardless, there are some major mechanics that would need work. Now, there is also a man by the name of Jason Schreier. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him by now. He's an editor at Kotaku, and apparently he's got a pretty good track record at predicting games. Well, he recently tweeted some interesting details where he said, again, if you spend weeks getting hyped for a single-player RPG, you will be disappointed. Just looking out for you guys. Now, of course, you always have to take this kind of information with a grain of salt. Not to mention, even if this is true, it's not that it's saying it's explicitly multiplayer, it's just saying that it's not explicitly single player, right? So we could still have one with the other, and I think most people would prefer that. Number 4, it's a battle royale. Yeah, we don't need another battle royale. When leaks started coming out that this would be an open-world survival game that did focus heavily on base-building mechanics and, building or at least improvising weapons while you're out and you're on the go, well, people immediately thought of a battle royale. It needs no mention in the popularity of a game like Fortnite, but God, imagine just that reskinned into a Fallout world. People would not be happy. And again, when you think of base building in real time, you can't help but think of provocative bunny suits running up a pair of stairs they're building that goes all the way up to the clouds. Right? It's been done. Now, that mechanic by itself, it's actually quite interesting, I think, but I think a lot of people are just worried that it'll be limited to a small space where the only objective then is to kill everyone around you. Because then that kind of mechanic, it becomes less of a tool for, say, world building, and it's just another way to kill the guy next to you, Now, another thing is going back to the building of weapons that I talked about. This is akin to something like PUBG. Now, you don't necessarily build them in that game, but people are just worried that we'll spend, the first 20 minutes of a game scavenging materials so that we can build a half-decent gun and then have just one short firefight at the very end. Right? It's interesting, it does, and it's got its place, but not here. Although, of all the things on my list, this is probably the one that I'm least worried about, because I genuinely don't think Bethesda would do this. I mean, like we talked about, there's already a lot of popular battle royales out there, and I think just to make another one with a reskin and, be lazy and not really try to stand out, it's just not in their style, and I think with a game like this, they really do want to stand out. Number 3, microtransactions. Yeah, we don't want to see microtransactions. Now, this one basically goes without saying, but when you hear online survival game, yeah, you're already cringing at the thought of that fat bastard who puts down $300 in the first week for all the unfair weapons and armor, and then goes on a rampage destroying everyone and quickly getting to the top of the leaderboard. That's not fun. It's not a fun place to be. You feel like no matter how hard you work or how well you do, there's always going to be that one person who's got an unfair advantage over you. Even though they're not necessarily better than you. No, how could anyone be better than you? Well, it's obviously one thing if you're like a smaller independent company, you make a free-to-play game, and then you still need some way of turning profit. It's not preferable, but it has worked before, and we get it. But obviously a company like Bethesda, it's got the luxury to avoid that, and so I'm certainly hoping they do. Now, there were also some leaks that talked about how the game is still going to have quests that you can go on and, complete, And obviously you're going to get some kind of reward from that. So if they did have a system where you can just buy your way to those rewards, well, you're just going to delegitimize all the quests that you've done. And people are going to feel like they just wasted their time by doing them. I mean, and Lord knows, if quests start to become grindy, yeah, you can count me out right there. Settlement in trouble or not. Number 2, having a voiced protagonist. There's a lot of people who really don't want to see this implemented again. Now, I remember a few days ago I was reading something and they said that having a voiced protagonist was going to return. And I was like, son of a hacky sack. I got really angry. Like, there was a newspaper on my kitchen table and I swiped it right off. Didn't even check to see where it went, where it fell. I bet it's still there now. But then this morning I read something that was like, oh, having a voice protagonist is going to be optional. And then I was like, okay, well, that's a little bit better. Like, in an online game where you pick a character and you get to choose, like, just the timbre of their voice just for combat, you know? So they could sound like, or they could sound like, ah! Or they could sound like, oh, leave him! Oh, wow. Wow, give me the option to say that, and I will give this game a 10 out of 10 no matter what they do with it. But, really, the problem with a voice protagonist becomes the lack of freedom that the lack of freedom that you might feel. Because apparently there's still a story that they're trying to tell, and you don't want your character to just feel like a catalyst to, you know, further what it is they're trying to tell you, but to rather, you know, be a free thinker that says and does what they want. You know, it's always a lot more fun. That was obviously a big issue for people when Fallout 4 came out, and I know a lot of people don't want to repeat that. So if those voices are still coming, I hope that we'll still have a lot of freedom with the choices that we make, and with the conversations that we want to get really, really funky and weird. And number 1, no external mods. Right? We don't want our mods to only come through the Creation Club. Now, MXR actually did a video on this recently, and he talks about it in pretty good detail, but the idea is that Bethesda wants to monetize the modding community. Not a big surprise, they've been trying this for a while now, but it seems like for this game, they're really going to make a hard stance. Now, their reasoning is that they don't want to further the stealing of content, and they want to hide certain people from, like, adult mods. But the trouble is, this has already been going on for a long time with the other titles, and everybody's pretty cool with it. You can jump right on Nexus mods, you don't pay a thing, and you've got access to, I mean, such a wonderful library of really amazing mods. This is obviously one of the main reasons these games have such long lives, and they feel like they're getting updated years and years later. I mean, plus, you can donate to your favorite modders if you feel like they've done a really good job. So, like, the creators, they can still benefit. But now, if they get rid of that option and you can only go through the Creation Club for your mods, well, sure, there might be some free ones that'll, you know, keep you entertained for like 30 minutes. But the real high-quality stuff, it's definitely going to cost you. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they made the body enhancers the most expensive ones. And there you have it, 5 things we don't want from Fallout 76. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And down below, please tell me, is there something else you would like to add to this list? I mean, tell me, what are your thoughts on this game so far? Alright, thank you very much for watching. Oh, and by the way, to all the people who are still bitter that it wasn't a new Elder Scrolls title that was being announced, well, rumor has it, that very thing is waiting for us at E3. So, come on, 4chan, don't fail me now!